Okay, hi, how are you? I hope you're well. I'm doing good too, if you were wondering. Let's read initiation. What is initiation? Okay? Initiation from Theosophy. Initiation is a concept in Theosophy in which human beings are said to pass through different stages or gateways of spiritual development. According to Theosophy, initiation is an esoteric process to create forced evolution. The process of becoming a unique individual capable of sustaining states of heightened awareness is painstakingly slow because most people mechanically pursue their own likes and dislikes, and in the process, consciously or unconsciously impose their will on others. In the Greek New Testament, this is referred to as metanoia or sin, mistaken thoughts, feelings, or behavior, asserting one's power over others, resulting in trauma of all kinds and thus bad karma, which slows down one's spiritual development, as all harmful acts demand redress. But because karmic events further one's understanding about oneself and the world, as individuals are obliged to experience at some point or other the pain they have inflicted upon others, they ultimately offer a corrective for negative acts and thereby fostering awakening. As such, the law of cause and effect must ultimately be deemed a why can't I read that word? Beneficent, if not divine law. Initiation, according to Alice Bailey, entails the realization of increasing unity with all that lives. At one on all levels, emotional, intuitional, spiritual, and divine, consistent, conscious, continuous functioning. In all cases, it is preceded by a burning through the medium of inner fire, and by the destruction through sacrifice of all that separates. This is understood as a scientific process, with each initiation ushering in points of crisis, as well as more and more expansive states of consciousness. With this, one becomes increasingly united with the plan, capitalized plan, and beings guiding the energy and evolution of this planet. Amazing. I've never really read the whole thing till now. Only when one has grown exquisitely aware throughout time and space, that's the fourth dimension, both absolutely free of the lower aspects of oneself, yet restrained and enlightened, can one arrive at the fifth level of initiation. At that point, one becomes a master of wisdom. That's why it's all about 5D. That's where these beings come from. Having mastered one's body, feelings, and mind, one has grown to be harmless, intuitive, brilliant, telepathic, and wise. At this stage, the individual is said to be impersonal and objective, beyond the reach of death, and is awarded the opportunity to serve as part of the spiritual hierarchy, the planetary governing body that oversees the plan of the logos, i.e. the evolution of the planet as a whole, like these people in the blue suits. Death, the grand illusion. According to the ancient wisdom teachings, death is merely a transition from one state of consciousness to another. While scientific materialists may deny the legitimacy of this view, physicists have long recognized that energy cannot be destroyed, even if it changes form, it just transfers. Because there is a deep, instinctual love of life shared by all living beings, however, death has generally long been adorned and denied, experienced as terrifying and painful. evoked self-pity as it has equated with losses of all kinds: roles, goals, relationships, possessions, and most importantly, perhaps, experience itself. In exceptional cases, it has promoted a certain kind of courage, or conversely, resignation, like the polarities. Yet even sudden violent death is experienced as no more than an electric shock. Despite the fact that death is inevitable and offers diverse kinds of experience, all of these reactions can be understood as an identification with the form aspect of life itself, rather than the essence or substance underlying life, which Theosophists consider to be eternal, because you never die, you just transfer. So basically what's just saying, what I was just reading in the Initiates of the Flame about God's Great School for Man, even after you pass on and you go to these greater colleges and universities, you're still learning. You know, you're still in school. It's just a different kind, you know. But when you graduate here, you essentially become a teacher for the people that are still here. In a spiritual sense, by most likely becoming like a soul guide and taking this information that you know, this universal spiritual truth, and helping another channel it through into the collective consciousness that's here on the earth. Even when you are no longer, you've transferred to a different state of consciousness. You're in your energy body now, because you no longer have your physical vessel. It has passed away. In general, humanity has dreaded the unknown, in part because it has proven one sense of personal limitation, if not powerlessness, rather than the grand mystery of existence itself. Rather than experiencing death as an escape, like how we call this a prison planet and everything like that, I called it like jail. We're all inmates. It can be seen as different things, you know. Some people thought of school every day as being like in a prison. You know, not being able to get to school, you just having to go every day, not wanting to. You know, it's a similar concept. Because as within, so without, right? So I of course draw on my experiences. I remember I didn't never wanted to go to school. I would have rather have stayed home, watched TV, and played video games. I went, but that's what I would have rather done. So, rather than experiencing death as an escape, much of humanity dreads it as a punishment. So Alice Bailey offers this corrective from the Master Dwai Cool, for whom she served as I think that Amanuensis. It seems like that's the old school word for, or the Latin word that we now associate with like a channel. Like, you know, like I was just explaining previously about having these spirit guides, and then, you know, like Elena Danaan did and came up with, you know, her book. What's it called again? Gift from the Stars. Kind of is, you know. Right, next picture. Oh, via telepathy. So this connection was via telepathy, and it is the telepathic connection. And never mind. I'll explain that another time. I explained telepathy about my video about seeing the being in my room, being of unknown origin. It says via telepathy, there is no angry God, no hell, and no vicarious atonement. There is only a great principle of love emanating the entire universe. There is the presence of the Christ, indicating to humanity the fact of the soul, and that we are saved by the livingness of that soul. And the only hell is the earth itself, where we learn to work out our own salvation. Actuated by the principle of love and light, and incited thereto by the example of the Christ, which is the Kundalini, up the spine, the sacred fluid, and the inner urge of our own souls. Moreover, whether one believes or not in the accounts of millions of individuals who have testified about near-death experiences, physical science is in the process of developing the capacity of photographing the etheric realm, and will thereby prove the existence of something that survives the death of the human body, even if it should not be called the soul. Moreover, increasingly, as more and more people adopt a more open, curious attitude towards their own death, most importantly, as it is taking place, humanity will relinquish its old age fears and come to understand death as a cycle. It happens a cycle, death and rebirth event to be planned for, one to experience, if at all possible, as a conscious witness. The probationary path. Oops, went too far. Okay. At present, the vast majority of humanity remains on the probationary path, because it has yet to take the first initiation. Once committing to one's spiritual development, however, an individual stands seemingly alone, faced with all kinds of new possibilities and challenges. These should not be confused with negative karma. When people near the gate of initiation, at whatever level, a profound change takes place in their life patterns and associations. All that was familiar and comforting loses its flavor and becomes stale. All that tended to support and comfort falls away. A new openness and vulnerability takes the place of assured habits of thought. And an unfamiliar humility descends upon the seeker. Seek and ye shall find the gateway. Wow. The old certainties disappear, the world changes shape, and nothing is as it was. When this happens, the individual experiences a profound sense of unease, impending loss, often of despair. All seems black and bereft of hope. The old loses its appeal, the future beckons menacingly. Thus, it is for the individual disciple, thus too it is for humanity as a whole, as it stands now, at the very door of initiation into a new state of consciousness. Humanity steals as in like, not as in take something that isn't yours, but like steal as in like strengthen up. Like as if you are, I've heard this compared to before, where we are on an anvil and we are the glowing sword that's just been taken out and placed down and life is just hammering us. Well, that. Steels itself for the experience of the new, the infinite tasks ahead, the creation of a new world. Bereft of guidance, it would founder quickly and suffer painfully. Without higher help, its progress would be slow and fitful, its future uncertain and bleak. Thus one has begin to eschew carelessness in all of its forms. I think basically it's about acknowledging that something's not right. That's one of the first things that happened to me when I was really, really young, was I kept telling everybody, I'm like, and I was small, and I was like, yeah, I think the world's ruled by evil, and they tell me, oh, it's, you watch too much TV, you should stop watching the Power Rangers, you know. But it wasn't just that, there was more to it. Remember, I'm reading this with you for the first time. I haven't had time. First, I've read it before, but now it's been changed, and now it's totally deleted, by the way. Should have said that in the beginning. I've screenshots of it, though. Okay, first initiation, birth to the spiritual life. In the Buddhist tradition, the first initiation is referred to as sotapanna, oneself to the stream of spirituality. So basically, you're stepping into it. Within ancient Indian texts, the first initiate is described as the wanderer, i.e., one who no longer feels that in any place in the three lower worlds is his abiding place or future. So it's kind of like the starseed stage, where you know that you're not from here, but you're not exactly sure from where. Went through that. The I am presence. Oh yeah, there's a lot of people that went through that too. Okay, sorry. Right. In the Ascended Master teachings, a soul that reaches this level is described as having attained their individual I am presence. That's why a lot you see this in like starseed groups and lightworker groups. It's like the first initiation, so their first level. They're quite low on it. Doesn't matter. You're still on it. We're all on the wheel. And they say that a lot. And years ago, back in like 2012 and 2011, I was into that. So it all happens in this gradual progress, or in stages, and it progresses. Almost like I kept comparing it to a flower opening up. The lotus flower, actually. According to Alice A. Bailey, at the first initiation, one masters the physical body by exercising, choosing the right diet, and adopting restraint as regards to all of one's appetites. Accordingly, one is not unduly concerned by one's appearance, pain, or illness. So you basically accepted yourself for who you are in your own skin, in your body. According to Alice Bailey, I already read that. Benjamin Creme elucidates this process further, by describing the necessity of acquiring control over not merely the human appetites and body, but over that which comprises the human organism on the invisible plane, that which includes tiny delvic beings or elemental lives, so the very micro to the macro. Our bodies, physical, astral, and mental, are made up of the life forms of tiny devas on each of these three planes. Our bodies are literally made up of theirs. And in this way, the devas, their elemental spirits, gain the life experience, which will eventually equip them for human consciousness. See, I always thought that. I always thought Asura was helping me so that he could also move up in consciousness, being on a lower plane, and then, oh my gosh. See, I'm learning every day too. Yeah. I thought I was like teaching them about humanity, but it's not quite what you think sometimes. That is so freaking cool. They are infinitesimally small, myriads being required to create the substance of our vehicles. That is so... Benjamin Creme asserted that he had a moment-to-moment relationship with a master of wisdom, a member of Earth's hierarchy. Wait a minute. Inner Earth. That's probably the people in like Agartha and stuff. Like when they talk, what was his name? Richard Byrd goes in and he talks to all those. Weren't they the masters of wisdom? It's probably them. Where was I? Oh. From whom emerged his teachings about the return of Christ and the role of humanity on earth. Although, in 1984, Benjamin Creme advanced a belief that there were merely 800,000 first-degree initiates alive, when the human population was about 4.767 billion. He insisted that many more would be taking the first initiation in the future, and it's still happening. Your initiation's happening right now. I said that a while ago in one of my videos. This would take place during a turbulent period when humanity would undergo a period of heightened spiritual tension and thus accelerated spiritual growth. That's what's happening right now. They're trying to create as much displacement, stress as possible to create crisis, because it says to, what did I just read? Accelerate spiritual growth. Sometimes pain is your greatest teacher, pain and suffering. I know. It's definitely been mine. We are entering the crisis of love. This is the experience which the human race faces as it enters the period of its evolutionary journey when it will, as a whole, demonstrate the quality of love and take its place in the kingdom of souls. So, basically, all the beings from Elena Danaan's book are in the kingdom of souls. All the beings from Claudio Nocelli's books and all their little universes there in their worlds, that's the kingdom of souls. All these beings that we see out here, they're other souls that were made by the divine creator just like we were. And they're here learning just like us. That's why they say we were just like you at one time. There is a very high degree of non-interference, but they can interfere just enough. They really had to be careful with me. They couldn't tell me anything because I would have figured it out too quick. I'm not showing off, but that's why I used to get really mad. No one would tell me anything. The esoteric hierarchy. During the Aquarian Age, the aim of the Christ, Maitreya, the Hierophant at the first two initiations, will be the initiate of millions of people in group formation into the hierarchy at some stage or other. Vast numbers will take the first and some will take the second initiation. Yay! This is an extraordinary plan, capitalized, as it is envisioned by the Lord of the World, Sanat Kumara, on Shambhala. Like that book I have from H.P. Blavatsky, and she's into this too. Her name's probably mentioned in here somewhere. I meant to just read this and not talk in the middle. Carried out by, plan as it is envisioned by the Lord of the World, Sanat Kumara, on Shambhala, carried out by his agents, the planetary hierarchy of the solar logos and stuff like that. That comes a little bit later. Benjamin Creme asserted that he had a... Uh-oh. Oh, okay, I took a picture too high. Okay, it goes after this. Right. This is the planetary hierarchy, as does everything in the cosmos. Evolution proceeds according to definite laws. The result of evolutionary experience and progress is to come into deeper awareness of these laws and the mechanism by which they govern the energies at the basis of all creation. God, it might be said, is the sum total of all energies in the whole of the manifested and unmanifested universe. Yeah, that's what Source is. And at the same time, the laws governing these energies and their interrelationship. God, as it says in the Bible, is a consuming fire. That's why the initiates of the flame, why it's shown as a flame, fire, and fire is represented to the divine and Source all the time, everywhere. God is energy, fire, not one fire, but many fires. Yeah, so we are all pieces of Source, little lights off the main Source. So, like the sun, and little sparks of fire off of the sun. Pew, pew, pew. That's us. Their interrelation and interaction create the visible and the invisible universe. As we understand their working, we become manipulators of these laws. The logos of the various planets and great beings like the Christ and the Buddha, because there's all kinds of people that graduated soul school before us. This one, anyway. Like the Christ and the Buddha, have evolved into awareness of these laws, have understood their workings and how to manipulate them correctly, scientifically in accordance with the plan of the solar logos. Working telepathically with his own master, Benjamin Creme delineated the following first-degree initiates. Akhenaten, I think the Egyptian priest, Homer, Pericles, oh goodness, I can't even say that one, Alexander the Great, Marcus Aurelius, Dogen, Hildegard von Bingen, Elizabeth I, Hans Christian Andersen, Emily Dickinson, George Washington Carver, Vincent van Gogh, Helen Keller, Mother Teresa. There's quite the list. I'm just trying to pick out. Anyway, I have all of these pictures in a previous video called Initiation Before Deletion. All of these pictures are posted in there. You can go and read it for yourself. Each of the initiates can be recognized by their unique contributions, as well as their self-sacrifice, their service to the world. C.W. Leadbeater further clarifies this process, stating, "Yet in all this strange advance there is no loss of sense of individuality, even though there is an utter loss of the sense of separateness, separation, because we're all one. We literally come from the same source. We're just different pieces of it." The second initiation, baptism, the baptism. In the Buddhist tradition, the second initiation was referred to as Sakadagami. Perhaps will not go, continue, or return. Well, that's a rough translation of some Sanskrit text. C.W. Leadbeater alerts spiritual seekers that to achieve such spiritual stature, one must relinquish the ordinary, undue focus on one's personality, recognize the import of the law of rebirth, reincarnation, and the law of karma, and the law of action and reaction, and take it upon oneself to verify everything in contrast to having either doubt or blind faith, while acknowledging that different religious practices, prayer, fasting, privileges, can be quite helpful. Leadbeater underscores that they are insufficient, stating the initiate realizes clearly that within himself deliverance must be sought, and that however valuable these aids may be in developing his will, his wisdom, and his love, they can never take the place of that personal effort by which alone he can achieve. Alice A. Bailey states that at the second initiation, one has already acquired full control over one's emotions or astral body. In the New Testament, this controlling of the emotions is symbolized by Jesus' baptism in the water and walking on turbulent waters. These Christian stories also reveal the necessity of detachment and the importance of being able to separate oneself from identifying with all outer events. During the baptism, a dove is depicted descending upon Jesus, which signifies that at that time the Christ entered Jesus' body. So that's when his spinal fluid had finally reached his crown chakra. Or maybe it had just begun, I don't know. But that's what the Christ is, the Christos. Benjamin Creme asserts that the Christ was Maitreya, and that during Jesus' last 3 years, Maitreya was teaching through Jesus while Jesus observed. Through greater alertness and gradual self-mastery, one refrains from all expressions of negativity, acquires greater humility, and thus a larger view of reality. Utter restraint is needed before one might approach the Logos, God the Father. Sanat Kumara Maitreya is said to act as the Hierophant at the time when each individual attains the first and second initiation. Oh, so when I hit the second initiation there, that's when Jesus came into my consciousness. Okay. I remember that. Oh, yeah, yeah. From the time when yeah. This is what it signified when the Christ, through Jesus, said, I am the way, the truth, and the life. No one comes to the Father except through me. That's amazing. John 14:6. More recently, Maitreya is quoted as saying, my plan is to take you on a journey into a new country, a new approach to living in which all men can share. Let me lead you. Let me show you the way. Let me lift you upwards into the light of a new truth. Let me show you, my friends, the way to God. For only through the manifestation of God's will can God be known. I am here to administer that will. Take this opportunity to serve and grow in service, my friends, for none greater has been offered to any man. Take this opportunity to serve and see the face of him we call God. According to Benjamin Creme, there were 240,000 people at this level of initiation in 1984. That was a year before I was born, when the world population was 4.767 billion. Examples of individuals who are said to have been second-degree initiates in their lifetime are Plato, Aristotle, Hippocrates, Elijah, the Apostle Matthew, the Apostle Thomas, Anne Besant, Alfred Percy, William Blake, lots of people know him. Let's see, Benjamin Franklin, Franklin D. Roosevelt, Eleanor Roosevelt, John F. Kennedy, Martin Luther King Jr., Galileo, Sigmund Freud, C.W. Leadbeater, J. Robert Oppenheimer. Isn't that the guy who did the bomb? Albert Einstein, and Nikola Tesla. Okay, moving on to the third initiation, the transfiguration. I want to see how long we've been going. Ooh. Third initiation, the transfiguration. In Buddhist tradition, the third initiation was referred to as anagami. Cannot come back, return. Yeah, so this one you definitely cannot. There was an if. It was kind of iffy in the second. The chief task of the initiate approaching this portal is acquiring the ability to observe the workings and content of the mind on a moment-to-moment basis. One method of acquiring such a heightened state of awareness and self-control is through meditation. Meditation is important also because it deepens the disciple's relationship with his own soul. Know thyself. When performed in a disciplined manner over time, meditation helps rupture the ordinary addiction one has to life and to experience itself, subduing the personality and thereby helping the mind grow receptive to higher influence. Alice Bailey provides precise tutelage about the nature and method of meditating. The one who meditates is the soul, the ego, and his work is positive activity, not a negative state or condition. Much of the work done under the name of meditation is dangerous and useless, because that which seeks to control is the man on the physical plane, and his endeavor is concentrated on the attainment of brain stillness. He seeks to quiet the brain cells and render them negative, quiescent, and receptive. True meditation, however, concerns the soul and the mind. The receptivity of the brain is an automatic reaction to the higher condition. In Raja Yoga, therefore, contact with the true man, the ego, and the power to still the modifications of the thinking principle must precede all brain activity and responsiveness. The Lord of the mind is ever awake of the tendency of the mind to respond to force currents produced by thought or desire. He therefore watches every emanation of force ensuing from him. So basically, instead of quieting the mind, allow them to flow and it says, and controls every thought and impulse so that only these streams of energy and those impulses originate with him, which are in line with the purpose held constantly in view and in pursuance of the group plan. So regardless of what thoughts come, you're going to almost like, I'm seeing, what's that? Like a conveyor belt with a bunch of stuff on it and everything's being sorted into different things. But keeping it and taking it as a thought, observing it and letting it go, instead of hanging on to it. Because to not have any It can be nice to do, but it's more a discovery of the soul. A lot of people soul journey at that time, astral travel during that time. Held constantly in view in pursuance of the group plan. To help clarify the process of evolution, the story of the gospel in the Christian Bible was given to humanity, both as a historical and symbolic event. It is also a retelling of other ancient stories about the first 4 initiations, with the various major events in Jesus' life symbolizing different initiations. For example, when in the Garden of Gethsemane, while his closest disciples slept, were unaware. They were unaware, like they were the sleeping people. Like you say, you're awake and everyone else is asleep. That's what that means. Jesus was in darkness. In order to be in right relationship to himself, his own fate, and God, he needed to rupture his identification with not merely his fears and desires, but also with his ideas about how things should be. His inner struggle led him to grasp that he could actually not accomplish his task without relinquishing his self-will. Yet through this sacrifice, his experience at one-ment with the will of God. Instead of atonement, at one-ment. It is believed that the third initiation, one has acquired the spiritual stature to come into contact with Sanat Kumara, with God. Sanat Kumara is identified in Buddhist, Hindu, and Theosophical texts with the Logos, or being that ensouls this planet. He acts as the Hierophant, as the third initiation, like the judge. Oh. And he acts as the Hierophant in the third initiation, and is also identified with the will aspect of God. Huh. Like the Holy Spirit? A third degree initiate is said to be capable of clairvoyance and clairaudience. Those who have said to become third degree initiates during their lifetime include, let's see if I can recognize somebody, Alice A. Bailey, I know that name, Bach, Beethoven, Mozart, John the Baptist, Paul the Apostle, Peter the Apostle, Churchill, I don't know which one, just says Churchill. Oh, but see, the thing is, though, it's like different polarities, right? So people do different things with it. Not everybody's going to be as nice as, like, say, someone like Jesus was. You know? Is. Whatever. There were between 2,000 and 3,000 people at this level in 1984. Okay. So, I'm tired. And I think this video is really long already. Hang on. Yeah. It's almost 45 minutes. So, I'm going to stop here, and then I'm going to continue on in another video. Okay? Again, like, if you want to read the whole thing, it's there in those pictures. You could slow down the video. You probably have to read it on your computer, because I literally just took screenshots of the whole thing. I had a feeling that before I got to it, it was going to be deleted. Like, before I got to, like, do this, it was going to get deleted, and it was. So, clearly, there's some pushback, and that's, I tried to share some content on Facebook, and it's just that, I mean, the F for the Facebook is a Freemason symbol. I know that. Okay? I know. What I don't understand is why. Oh, well, it's just they can't let go of the power. That's why. Well, okay, but that's in my next video too. I think I might take a break, but I really want to talk about that. The polarity shift. Pole shift. Oh, it's a good one. Okay, well, thank you very much for listening. We will continue on. Fourth initiation on in part 2. Sorry, it's just my throat's sore. And if my videos are too long, people don't watch them, which is a dang shame. Alright, I love you. Take care. See you later. Bye.